You know what's wild? Some people move abroad and go broke faster than they would have if they were back in America. So, and meanwhile, other people, they're living like kings, same country, same income, but they're stacking, saving like crazy. The difference? One simple decision. And that's not the country that you pick, it's not your job, it's the decision that literally determines whether you thrive abroad or you end up flying home broke. Stick around because this one mindset shift can save you thousands every single year living overseas. Now, I'm Expat D. Welcome to the channel. And let's get right into this. Okay? When most people move abroad, they pack two things. Number one, they pack their luggage. And number two, their American mindset about money. They think, well, if rent is cheaper, I can splurge on everything else. And next thing you know, they're ordering imported groceries, living in the expat bubble and Ubering everywhere, while wondering why their budget still feels tight. See, the problem isn't the prices, it's the habits you brought with you. You're not in Los Angeles anymore, you're not in New York, but your wallet is acting like it still is. So that's the problem. So one thing that you want to keep in mind is that even though you're in a new country, you've got to change your habits. Habits are very important. And you know what? I think a lot of people, they're more interested in the idea. They want the idea of something. For example, let's say you live in an area and you're single. And you say, oh man, there's no beautiful women around, man. All the women are terrible, right? And the same person, even if they got into an environment where they got a bunch of pretty women, guess what? They're still single, they're still lonely. But what they're looking for is the idea. Because unfortunately, one thing that you do learn by traveling, sometimes you find out that the real problem may not be the environment, the real problem might be you. Okay? And there's some things, if you let it change you, if you don't go broke in the process, hopefully the travel will change you, and then you'll learn some things that'll actually put you ahead. Okay? So let's look at part two. Here's one decision that saves you $1,000 abroad. You decide to live like a local, not like a tourist. Now, I'll add a caveat. This could take some transition, okay? I mean, don't expect yourself to travel to a new environment and then you go like straight to a village or something, right? You can ease your way into this. You can give yourself maybe a week where you're living like a tourist, and then you're slowly adjusting. Taste that restaurant that you like, and celebrate the win that you decided to transition abroad. But you eventually know that you're going to be making some cuts, and that you're going to be changing your lifestyle. But you can ease your way into that. If you do this too fast, it's almost similar to a diet. If you do this too fast, you may find that you're kind of craving and you're kind of like wishing that you had something. And then it may cause you to splurge at the wrong times. So you might want to just kind of give it to yourself in the beginning. And then just to note, right, that, okay, I had it, that's out of the way, and then you can move on. But here's something you got to understand. When you choose to adopt the local rhythm, your entire financial situation, it definitely can shift. That's something that's positive. You stop paying foreigner prices. You learn where to shop locally. You discover, public transportation, local gyms, neighborhood markets, and local food spots that charge 80% less for better quality. I've met people living in Nairobi, Mombasa, Chiang Mai, who cut their expenses by 60% just by making that one decision. They stopped chasing Western comfort and started embracing local value. That's the real travel hack that nobody talks about. Yeah. On to my next point. Let me give you an example. I met an expat in Nairobi paying $1,200 a month for an Airbnb. Okay. That's something I've done personally. That is about that same amount. Meanwhile, a local friend lives in the same area for about $400 with the same amenities. Why the difference? Because one person researched the local way, the other person stayed on booking.com. Let me note that example, just to clarify that. When you do something like that, it's okay if you may have spent that first month and spent $1,200. Sometimes jumping into the local way, you have to know what you're doing, and you don't want to overcommit to something. You if you're trying to do something like that, it may be good to go with what you know in the beginning and scope it out into that, because that's a scenario that can work. It's also a scenario that can backfire. That person that pays $400 a month could end up paying that 3 times because they keep moving around, because they live in a place that it might be too extreme. Like, I'll give an example. When I lived in China, excuse me. When I lived in China, the apartment that I stayed in, and I actually, it costs a lot of money to get an apartment in China, because you have to pay rent 3 months at a time. And then when you're first moving in, you have to give a deposit, and then you have to give what's called key money. And what key money is, it's just giving like a month rent to the realtor, and all they did is open the door and say, "Here's the apartment, here." Like nothing. That's all they did, is just open the door. So that can cost like $7,000-8,000, depending on the price of the apartment. It's a lot of money that you have to pay up front. So anyway, just by me moving more than once, I had to go through that multiple times. So just, look at the strategy, but also make sure you scope that out well. Okay. Now let's take a look also at looking at food. Okay. Same with food. You can drop $25 at a Western cafe for brunch, or you can get a full, let's say if we're talking Kenya, you get a Kenyan meal for $3 that'll actually fill you up. So the more you think local, the more you realize the expensive part of living abroad is just your old habits following you. That's what it's all about. Okay, and on to my next point. If you're serious about saving thousands of dollars abroad, here's what to do. Number 1, ditch the expat forums, okay, that only recommends luxury spots. Number 2, ask locals where they shop, not where they think foreigners should do. Number 3, use local apps, like M-Pesa, Bolt, Grab. Negotiate everything, okay? Everything's negotiable when you're abroad. Once you understand local pricing, okay, and learn a few local words in the local language, that alone cuts your tourist tax in half. So when you start doing these things, you stop being seen as a walking ATM machine, and you start being seen as part of the community. Okay? It's not about being cheap, it's about being smart. So the more you connect with local life, the richer your experience becomes, and the richer your bank account stays. That's the secret, that Instagram travel gurus don't tell you. Because the real flex abroad isn't the villa, the car, or the drone shots. It's having freedom, freedom to say yes to opportunity, freedom to stay as long as you want because you're not broke. Okay? That all starts with one decision, and that's to live like a local. All right, so if you're planning to move abroad, ask yourself this: are you going to be a tourist or a student of the culture? Because the people who adapt, they don't just survive abroad, they thrive. All right, so if you found value in this, hit that like button, share it with someone thinking about moving abroad, and subscribe for more real expat talk, not the Instagram fantasy. So this is Expat D. I'll see you on the next one. Like, share, subscribe. Peace. See you in the next video.